I know you from the NNL East. We met here many years ago. What was your first NNL?
It was the last one at the church, and the first one I came to, I didn't know anybody. From the next one on, I brought at least one kit. And it keeps me moving. I take 3 to 4 people from our model club, Silent Traffic, every year. As I've said before, it's not really the cars, it's the people. It's the people here.
This is part 3 of our series on the NNL East. Talking with Bill Barrett, Tim Ettenheim, Tom Geiger, and Rick Hanmore, we continue our look behind the scenes of what goes into doing a show of this caliber. In the first video of the series, we heard about the show's history. And in the final video, we take a tour of the show.
2 weeks before the show, right before our club meeting, that's when we do the final printing of things like the floor plans and the vendor list and pamphlet, which has the vendor rooms with all the vendors listed so people can find their way. And then we'll have our last club meeting before the show, and everyone puts together the goodie bags.
I've always appreciated the great lighting. Bright enough, you can see the models,
and the height of the tables.
There you go. Were you guys the first to do that?
No. Again, we get good ideas from all over and just implement them. That came from IPMS up in Massachusetts. We went to a NASCAR show, and there were the tables up. We asked them, they said, oh yeah, the IPMS guys lent them to us. And we said, great. And I measured them off. And the next thing you know, we had them at our next show. People really like that because they can see the models without stooping all day. Right. But with my background in facility management, I made sure that, according to ADA standards, that someone in a wheelchair would be able to view the models so they're at that height. And that's one of the things we do, too. We are responsible for the people that day. So I make sure that the building is up to code, everything that we're doing. The aisles are the correct size, doorways aren't blocked or locked. And that everyone has a good, safe, fun day.
Legal authorities like us. Over the years, we've been visited, really, by the fire marshal. He was okay with what we were doing. The New Jersey Tax Department. We made sure all the vendors had their tax card because we anticipate that. And we say, all right, what happens if these guys come in? Can't let them close us down, so let's make sure that we're ready.
When we had the show in Parsippany, you had a fire permit, and the fire marshal would walk with you through the show before the event started and approve the show, approve your permit.
I hope you took him over to where the fire truck models were.
I always had a couple police officers as security. It's a PAL hall. Not only does it deter any type of theft, but in case if someone has a personal emergency, and with an aging crowd, we make sure that we have at least one EMT officer on site, and there are actually 2 EMTs on our staff. We've got our formula, and a lot of it just gets repeated every year, and a lot of it gets improved a step as we have time and ideas.
It's great to sit down with you guys, because when I see you guys at the show, I'm like, oh, I gotta let him do his thing. I don't want to disturb
Too much going on.
People afterwards will contact me and say, I saw you at the show, but you look too busy. I said, no, please stop me for a second to say hello.
We're going to have a button made up that said, where's Tom?
That's why we have the team approach. Everyone has a job, and everyone has a reporting order. So, for instance, Bill runs the front end. Everyone who works the front door reports into Bill. So I don't have the 50 people, where's Tom, anymore. And it works very well. We have a guy in charge of each of the vendor rooms. We have a fellow in charge of the display room, vendor table. Tim handles the finance and the ballot counting, and it works out well to have the team approach.
People say, that show runs itself, and it doesn't, I know, but it seems like it does because everything is in its place and everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, and it's a good time. Other things that have come and gone over the years, I remember one year John had a race car out in the parking lot, and I don't know if he did that 1 year, 2 years.
One year we had a funny car at Parsippany.
Okay.
What's happened since is that we've just been too full. The parking lot. Because one of the things we would have loved to have done would be just to have the front section be more like a car show. If you bring your antique car, special interest car, you can park in the front lot. But we just don't have the space to do that.
We used to do a video back in the VHS days. We hired a company to come in, and he would do a video, he would edit it, and then we would sell it at the show, at the club table the next year. Now with the instant videos, everybody can pretty much do that.
I've got one of those somewhere.
Yeah, I got one of those somewhere.
No way to play it. But
It's amazing to think at 9 o'clock in the morning, social media is full of the line. And then as this show goes on during the day, it's full of all the models that are on display and people talking and doing things instantaneous.
Yes.
And I think that's the advertising, that's the energy that you guys are getting now. I'm glad to be able to share these stories with you through our videos. One of the things that makes this channel possible is the ongoing support of viewers who become patrons. As a thank you for their patronage, we publish brief posts from my bench on our Patreon page exclusively for patrons. If you'd like to help further the work we do here on Model Car Muse, check out the Patreon link in the description below.
I believe it was the third NNL?
It's the first time I met you. It was the first NNL I actually attended.
Yeah, wow. Back then they had demonstrations. That was one of John's ideas, I believe, to have people would come in. And Doug did a photography demonstration one year. And I came in and I airbrushed this body. And I remember standing on one side of the table. I hit my stuff and masked off one color and sprayed it. Masked off a second color and sprayed it. And a whole bunch of guys watching me do it. And so I painted this whole body, or just the graphics, I should say, as a demonstration at NNL. I eventually put the model together, and I call it the Stewed Dude. I gave him a spiked haircut.
That was actually when I saw it. It was on the table, and I had just finished the same model, but just plain white stock car. I put it next to it, and we had a little sign that said, "This is your car, and this is your car on drugs."
I remember that now, yeah. You'd have a hard time doing demonstrations now as well. It used to be almost too much to keep control of. No place to do it.
Right.
I see a great deal of stability. The planning, everything's together. There must have been a point where there was a transition.
Let's say this, when John Silvosky died, that was a big blow to the club. And right away, there were clubs and even commercial concerns who approached us. "Oh, well, we'll take over the show if you guys can't do it." We got the group together and we said, "Hey, not only are we going to do the show as good as last year, it's going to be better this year and every year." And we've stuck with that theme. Back at the time John died, the show might have had 400, maybe 500 attendees. And we were slowly outgrowing the hall in Parsippany. So we moved to the hall in Wayne, New Jersey. And again, we stuck with the theme, build the show bigger and better every year. So we've hit a certain plateau where we say, what would John do? What would the intent be of making NNL a gathering of friends versus a contest?
We did reach a point, I think after the first year in Wayne, when expenses were growing out of sight, it became apparent that as part of changing from the way we were into something that was going to be stable and grow, that we had to cost less and make more and have something left over. And so we really hit upon the notion that when we finished every year, we wanted to have enough money so that if it was a torrential rainstorm on NNL day, we could have a NNL cost base in the bank and always turn that over the next year. And from that principle, some things just began to find their places in our revenue. So Al took care of the shirts, and the deal was always that we can't let ourselves lose money on every shirt. That enabled us to buy these, get nothing for them, but buy these for the modeling community. It's really important that we keep thinking about what it took to get us to this point. Putting the show on, like all of them, is very expensive. We have to make sure that all the basic nuts are covered. We've been very fortunate with the weather. I don't think we've had a rainout, but the principles stay the same. You talk about stability. I think these are the factors one needs to build something that's going to be durable and stable.
Our financial stability got us through COVID. That whole idea of having 1 year's money in the bank ahead of time really came into play because by the time we canceled NNL East, we had spent everything, the plaques, the armbands.
And all the vendors had already paid in.
Yes.
We owed them that money.
Yeah, something you never thought would happen happened, and then we couldn't hold the show for 3 years. And the vendors were so keen on us that they stuck with us, and very, very few vendors asked for their money back. So we had already been paid the vendor money, which is the good portion of the show income.
Thousands of dollars.
You know, we did not have that income the next year. Financial stability got through, and we are financially stable today.
Challenge for us then is the next generation. We need some leaders who don't have great hair.
And what's happened is we've stepped out into the community, found younger modelers. We partnered with the Diversified Scalers. They're a group of younger guys. Some
Outstanding
of them are
modelers.
40s. Down to their teens, and they come and they help every year at NNL East, and we help by helping them with their show too.
Hi. My name is George Ramos. I'm from the Diversified Skaters. We one of the clubs that are partners with the guys for NNL East, Tri-State Model Car Club. We invited them to come to our little show, and we became friends after that, and we like to help them as they help us with our shows. It's been an honor to partner with these guys, and we're happy to have everybody here. Hope everybody has a good time.
How did Grow the Hobby start?
Grow the Hobby started years ago when we talked about where do the new shows come from, where do the new younger people get into the hobby. So we decided with some of the money that we were earning on the show to throw it back to the community and help new shows start. We've sponsored the Diversified Scalers, NNL Philadelphia, and not only given them cash, but also the enthusiasm and a lot of the technique of how to run a show, how to write a budget. That's Tim's part. Tim can show any show how to do their numbers so that they work, and how do we grow a show. That's what Grow the Hobby was about. Each year, $1 from your admission goes to the Grow the Hobby Fund. And for a while we had a lot of shows also doing the same thing and donating the money to the International Model Car Museum. So every show at any size could participate $1 per person and help us grow the hobby.
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a great effort.
If I had a wish, I would wish the John could come back just to see what the show is like today.
Yeah.
I think he would be happy with it.